Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. I'm George Conley with Scratch Golf Tips, and today we're going to be talking about a very common misconception or a myth in the golf instructional space. I did a video fairly similar to this a few months ago, may have been years by now, about keeping your head down and how keeping your head down is not always the most solid advice. So we're going to be going off of that with another installation in this series today. Now, the golf myth that I'm referring to is the myth of keeping your front arm straight in the takeaway, in the backswing. You've probably heard this a million times from all different kinds of people. A lot of great golf instructors won't necessarily dive into it, but when you're getting into the game and maybe your grandfather or father is just teaching you the basics, they'll often say, for a right-handed golfer, keep that left arm straight in the backswing. And this can be very, very sound advice. But depending on the golfer, depending on that individual's golf swing, that advice can actually be very detrimental to the golf swing. Let me explain. It's important to understand the pros and the cons to these types of advice that can be very decisive. So first off, referring to the pros, I'm just going to use this wedge because it's all that I have right now. If you have a very straight arm in the takeaway, one thing that's going to do is it's going to create the most arc in your swing, and this is absolutely a positive. Another word that you may hear about the golf swing arc is the term width. If this arm is straight, then the golf club is going to be as far away from you as possible, creating the largest arc around your body that the golf swing can. So think about this circle versus this circle. When that arm is straight, you're creating the most width, and that is going to lead to the most swing speed, the most powerful swing that you can have, because that club is traveling the most distance. Another very important pro to this that cannot be understated is if this left arm stays straight throughout the backswing and down in through transition, that club, because it's already the furthest away from your body that it can be, the positioning of that club in relation to your body is going to be very consistent. It's going to be reliable because it's straight. It's an arm's length away from you at all times in that takeaway. If you have your arm bent a little bit, it makes it much more difficult because maybe you'll flex it a little bit, you'll bring it in a little bit throughout the swing. It makes it much more difficult to have that consistency in the golf swing. So those are the pros why, and that's a big reason why this is actually very good advice for some golfers who need that level of instruction. However, there are definitely cons to this. The number one con to trying to keep that left arm straight is there are people, especially the older golfer demographic, which as we all know makes up a large part of the golfing demographic. They don't have the flexibility to keep this arm straight and rotate the body. So what they'll often do is they'll try and keep the arm straight, but they can't lock this arm and then have solid upper body rotation, so they just use the arm as the rotation. When in reality, if they have a little flex, if the tension comes out of them a little bit, then they can get more rotation. So in reality, I know that earlier I spoke about the straight arm leading to the most power, but if the straight arm is going to restrict your upper body from rotating, absolutely bend that arm, rotate more, and then you'll actually get more power from it. This is why this advice is so decisive. It can really work wonders. For me, this helped a ton. For other golfers, it can actually work very heavily against them. It can ruin their swing, it can ruin their scores, which we do not want to do with any piece of advice. There are no definites in golf. Everything works differently for each golfer. We can even see that this isn't consistent amongst all golfers. We look at professional golfers. Someone like Justin Thomas, if you look at that arm at the top of the backswing, it's as straight as an arrow. It's beautifully high up. He has the high hands. That left arm could not be straighter, and Justin Thomas, as we all know, is one of the greatest golfers on earth right now, and he's one of the best ball strikers, so it clearly works for him. He's a younger guy, very flexible, very strong, so he can have that movement. But you look conversely at another one of the greatest ball strikers ever, someone who has one of the sweetest golf swings that we can recollect, Fred Couples. Fred Couples did not have that left arm completely locked up and straight. He had a little bit of flex in it, and honestly, that flex allowed him to have that smooth, effortless swing rhythm. I made a whole video on Fred Couples and that effortless swing tempo that he had, and having that lack of straight arm actually helped him a lot. So that just goes to show the two different types of golfers who benefit really well from either end of the straight arm spectrum. So the main myth that is to be busted here is that you need to have a straight leading arm in the golf swing for a good golf swing. It's simply not true. Any huge generality like that, generalization of the golf swing, is very rarely true. Because like I said, every golfer is different things work for different people. So if you're struggling with the golf swing, you're looking to change things up, and you're on one end of that spectrum pretty intently, just try going to the other side. That's all I ask. And maybe it'll help you a lot. Maybe it'll ruin you, but you can always go back to what you tried. It's just important to see both ends. I know that when I started golfing, I did not have a very straight arm at all. I came from baseball where you start up here, right? So I was used to, in transition, having a very bent arm. It didn't work for me. I was hitting wicked slices. I would hit a drive square on the face, but it would slice so much it would go 200 yards. So I had to leave it behind. And then after some work, some drills that got me into the straight arm, I found that I could much better control my club face. I didn't lose much distance. I actually gained a lot when you consider the loss of the RPMs from the slice, but it helped me a ton. So try it out, see how it works for you. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this debate, because I know that many people have pretty definitive thoughts, but in this video, I take a fairly middle of the line view. I just don't think definitives on these things are very good for golf instruction as a whole. So leave something in the comment section down below. I read all the comments on these videos and reply to them. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this topic. If you'd like to see more content like this, you can always subscribe to the Scratch Golf Tips YouTube channel. We're posting a few times a week, and that'll allow you to see all of our videos coming out in the future. You can also go back through our page. You can go through our uploads or our playlists. We have over 150 videos already existing on the channel, so you can go back and watch all of those. As always, we very much appreciate the support. Play well and take care.